Smoke curled upward, black against the copper sky of Tarsi's 7. The transport ship was nothing more than a jagged skeleton of fire-warped steel. Dr. Amara Voss crawled from the broken hull, blood dripping into the red sand. Her lungs stung. The air tasted like ash and metal. She stumbled, barefoot, toward the edge of the wreckage, clutching a busted comms unit. Dead. No signal. The horizon stretched wide, lifeless, broken only by mountains that resembled torn bone. Great, she muttered. Perfect place to die. The heat rippled across the barren landscape. Her suit was shredded, one boot missing, knee torn raw. She squinted at the sun, two of them, in fact, hanging heavy and merciless. Oxygen was thin. She tapped the emergency capsule on her belt. 2 days' worth. Maybe. The wind shifted, carrying a sound, low, guttural. Not mechanical. Her body went still. She reached for the flare pistol tucked in her waist pack. It was all she had. From behind the jagged rocks came a shape. Not human. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Skin like deep jade, lined with bioluminescent veins that pulsed slowly. A reptilian head, ridged spine down his back. Humanoid, yes, but unmistakably alien. He watched her, unblinking. Amara raised the pistol, breathing hard. "Don't come closer." He didn't. Just tilted his head and spoke in a strange tongue, rasping, sharp, yet almost melodic. Then silence. "I said stay back," she warned again, voice cracking. He stepped forward slowly, claws raised, not in attack, but open-palmed. He kneeled in the sand, gaze locked on hers. Amara hesitated. Her instincts screamed to run. But there was nowhere to go. Her knees buckled. The pistol slipped from her hand. She woke hours later beneath a makeshift shelter of metal and hides. A faint fire crackled nearby. Her leg was bandaged with strange, fibrous material, tinged blue. Her head rested on something soft, folded cloth, maybe. The wind outside howled, but she was warm. She sat up too fast and groaned. The alien was there, across from her, watching. Still. Patient. "You helped me," she whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he extended a rough-skinned hand, offering a flask made from bone. She took it with hesitation, sniffed, then drank. Cool. Bitter. But it eased the burn in her throat. He tapped his chest. "Kesh'var," he said. She blinked. Kesh'var. A nod. Amara. She pointed to herself. Amara Voss. He repeated it, less clumsily than she expected. Amara. A strange stillness passed between them. She looked at him closely, his eyes weren't hostile. They were cautious. Intelligent. Deep-set with grief. Scars covered his arms, some old, others recent. "You're native?" she asked, softly. "This was your home?" He didn't respond. Instead, he rose, walked to the fire, and dropped a bundle of thorny plants into the flames. A sweet, herbal scent filled the shelter. Moments later, he returned and placed his hand gently on her ankle. She flinched, but he only pressed down, checking her injury. Then, surprisingly, he tore a strip from his own garment and wrapped it tighter. "No pain," he said in broken standard. "You speak basic?" "Some. Not many words." She stared. "You were a slave on the mining colony, weren't you?" He went still. The air around them thickened. "Finally," he said, "chains. Long time. Broke. Ran." Amara's throat tightened. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know." He didn't answer. Just sat beside her in the sand, back to the fire. Over the next 2 days, they didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Kesh'var hunted small desert beasts with a carved spear. He showed her edible plants, taught her which roots to chew for hydration. When her fever rose, he carried her through a dust storm into the shelter of an abandoned mining outpost. It was there, in the quiet of dusk, as twilight soaked the metal ruins in violet light, that Amara found her recorder. It was still functioning. She tapped a few logs, watching flickering images of her former crew laughing, planning, unaware they'd be dead within a day. Kesh'var approached, kneeling beside her. He gestured to the images. Family? Friends, she murmured. They died. All of them. He looked at the screen, then at her, and without a word, placed his hand on hers. She didn't pull away. That night, under a sky dusted with unfamiliar stars, they sat by the fire again. He handed her roasted meat wrapped in bark. She accepted. I'm not sure what this is, but, thank you. Kesh'var chuckled softly, his first real laugh. Good. No poison. I promise. Amara smiled, genuinely. That's comforting. Silence stretched, but this time it wasn't heavy. It was comforting. She turned toward him, studying his profile against the firelight. The hardened warrior had softened since they met. Or maybe, she'd just started seeing him differently. You didn't have to save me, she said. Kesh'var looked up at the stars. You didn't scream. Others screamed. Others killed. She frowned. You saw other humans? Before. Years passed. Took land. Took people. Pain. I'm not like them. He nodded. I know. They sat in silence again. The flames danced between them, casting shifting shadows across their faces. And for the first time since the crash, Amara didn't feel alone. The cave's entrance was narrow, jagged with broken stone. Kesh'var led her inside wordlessly, glancing over his shoulder as if the air behind them carried invisible threats. Amara limped slightly, her leg wrapped tight in woven bark and salve-smelling strips of cloth. A sandstorm was rising fast, yellow-orange walls of dust already clouding the horizon behind them. Inside, the cave was surprisingly warm. Bioluminescent moss glowed faintly along the stone walls. A pool shimmered near the center, fed by a dripping stalactite. The silence was immense. Kesh'var crouched beside the water and dipped his hands in. Safe, he said. Drink. Amara followed, cupped the cold water, and drank greedily. This place, it's a shelter. He nodded. Old world cave. Before war. My people hid here. She sat down on a flat stone, breathing hard. Her body ached, but the tension in her chest had begun to ease. They were safe, for now. He rummaged through a small leather pouch and removed a bundle of leaves and silverroot threads. Sitting across from her, he crushed the ingredients and pressed the mixture onto her healing leg wound. She winced. Burns. Good, he said. Means it works. Amara looked at him. His jawline was hard, face expressionless, but his eyes, those obsidian dark eyes, searched her features with focus. She realized he had been watching her closely since the storm started, not with suspicion, but with concern. I never thanked you, she said. Kesh'var looked up, puzzled. For what? For not letting me die in the wreck. For this, she said, gesturing around the cave. For everything. He paused, voice low. You are different. Not cruel. She hesitated. I was sent here with people who were. I didn't know. I was just the science lead. Studying alien environments. You study us. His tone tensed slightly. No, she corrected gently. I study worlds. I look for what others overlook. He seemed to consider that. Then, to her surprise, he chuckled. What? You saw this world, he said. Still came. Amara smiled faintly. That might make me the biggest fool in the galaxy. No, Kesh'var said, more serious. It means you have courage. They sat in silence for a long moment. The cave flickered with moss light. The storm roared beyond the stone walls, but inside, a strange peace took root. Later, while gathering dried branches from a hidden alcove, Amara slipped. Her foot twisted sharply. She hissed in pain, grabbing her ankle. Kesh'var was there in seconds, crouching beside her. Injury? No, just twisted, she said, teeth clenched. Without asking, he lifted her into his arms. She tensed. You don't have to. I do, he said simply. The strength in his arms was startling. She was small in comparison, her frame light against the bulk of his chest. His skin radiated warmth, not heat, but something deeper, almost soothing. He carried her back to the flat stone slab and knelt beside her, inspecting her ankle with precise fingers. She watched him. His hands, clawed, calloused, moved with such gentleness. You don't look like someone who's ever known kindness, she whispered. He froze, not meeting her gaze. I wasn't made to receive it. I was made to serve. You were born into slavery? Not born, he said slowly. Engineered. She swallowed. Genetic work. Yes. Spliced. Hybrid. Weapon. He said the words like facts, not with bitterness. And you broke free. He looked up. I chose not to kill. That was escape. Amara's voice softened. You chose peace. Kesh'var nodded, and something shifted in the air between them. That night, the temperature dropped. Even with firelight and moss glow, the air bit at their skin. Amara shivered and hugged her knees. Kesh'var noticed. Without a word, he removed a thick fur-lined cloak from his satchel and placed it around her shoulders. She touched the fabric. Thank you. He settled beside her. Not close, but not far, either. After a while, she broke the silence. Do you miss your people? Yes, he said. But they are gone. She looked at him. You're the last. He nodded once. Grief moved behind his words, but he didn't let it take over. It was a scar, not a wound. She respected that. He turned toward her, then. His eyes didn't scan or evaluate. They met hers fully, intentionally. You carry pain, he said. So do you. They didn't speak after that. They just Saturday. Breathing. Listening to the wind scream beyond the walls. In the early hours before sunrise, a tremor shook the cave. Amara jolted awake. Kesh'var stood already, spear in hand. He moved to the entrance, eyes narrowed. Something comes. Human? She asked, standing. No. Machine. Her heart sank. Crimson watch. Maybe. They scan ground. Search. Amara backed away from the entrance. Her voice trembled. If they find us. They will take you, he said, stepping forward. Or kill you. I'm not letting that happen. He turned to her sharply. Then you will listen. Hide. Deep tunnel. I distract. No, she snapped. We do this together. Kesh'var growled low. You are fragile. I'm not weak. They stared at each other. Two survivors. Two fighters. The tension wasn't anger, it was fear. For each other. He sighed. You fight like a clawed beast. And you act like a stubborn rock. He blinked, then chuckled. Good. You learn our insults. They moved deeper into the cave, carefully, silently. As they passed through a narrow passage, the ground opened into a wide chamber filled with shimmering crystal walls. Alien tech embedded into the stone flickered faintly, old, dormant, but not dead. Amara's gaze darted across the strange symbols and lights. This is advanced. Ancient. Kesh'var spoke quietly. This was once sacred. Before machines came. She knelt beside one panel, brushing dust from its surface. If I can figure this out, it might be useful. He watched her for a moment, then said, we will not survive alone. But together, we might. Amara looked up. And smiled. The signal spike came at dawn. Amara crouched over the alien console, fingers hovering above glowing glyphs. As the crystals hummed softly beneath her touch, her comm scanner, rigged with salvaged parts, blinked a single red light. She froze. Someone's here. Kesh'var moved from the cave entrance in a heartbeat, spear in hand. His eyes flickered with instinct. Where? She held up the scanner. 2 kilometers west. Small drop pod. Energy signature matches Crimson Watch. His jaw tightened. Scouts. They must have traced the tech I activated last night. He glanced toward the exit. The storm had passed. The desert lay silent beyond the cave, but tension rippled in the air like static. They'll sweep this area soon, she said. They don't just search, they wipe clean. Then we strike first, Kesh'var said. Amara blinked. You want to ambush them? He looked at her with brutal calm. They're few. We kill them now, or they bring more. She hesitated. I've never killed anyone. I have, he said. Enough for both of us. They climbed a ridge overlooking the pod. Below, 2 mercenaries unloaded equipment, black armor, red visors glowing faintly in the rising light. A third stood by a scanner spike, adjusting frequencies. No backup yet, Amara whispered. Kesh'var crouched beside her, stone still. 1 hour before signal reaches orbit. We hit them fast, she said, pulse quickening. Knock out the comms first. Kesh'var handed her a dagger. Stay close. Stay quiet. They descended the slope like shadows. Amara crept behind a jagged rock formation while Kesh'var circled wide to the opposite side. She watched the scout at the scanner tap a wrist pad, lines of code flickering across a small holoscreen. Her heart hammered. One wrong move and they'd alert the ship. She clenched the dagger. Then came the signal, 3 rapid clicks from Kesh'var, somewhere in the dust. She moved. She lunged from behind, drove the dagger into the scanner's wrist module. Sparks flew. The screen shattered. The mercenary shouted, spun toward her, but too slow, Kesh'var was already on him. With one brutal strike, the alien drove his spear through the man's chest. The other 2 turned. Shots rang out. Amara ducked behind a crate, metal sizzling from blaster heat. Kesh'var dove low, moved like liquid fury. He tackled the second merc, disarming him mid-air. The gun spun into the sand. Blood followed seconds later. The third raised his rifle, aiming toward Amara. She didn't think, just ran. He fired. The blast grazed her shoulder, burning her suit. She screamed, stumbled. But then Kesh'var was behind the merc, arms locked around the soldier's throat. A crack echoed. The body dropped. Amara gasped, clutching her shoulder. Kesh'var knelt beside her instantly. You're hit. Just burned. She winced. Not deep. He tore fabric, checked the wound. Relief crossed his face when he saw it wasn't fatal. We need to move, she said. Their signal still pinged. Backup will come. He nodded, helped her up. They returned to the crystal chamber and sealed the cave entrance behind them with loose stone. Amara's skin stung, but her mind was focused on the alien panel she'd uncovered earlier. We need leverage, she said. If I can activate this core, we can jam their scanners or blast them off the map. Kesh'var looked at the ancient console. This place, it was built for defense. She ran her hand across the central glyph, recalling the sequence she had uncovered the night before. The crystal pulsed. Lines of energy raced along the walls. A low hum rose from the floor. It's waking up, she whispered. Glyphs lit one after another. A holographic projection rose above the pedestal, stars, sectors, systems. Then a deep voice echoed, not in language, but in sensation. It pulsed directly into their minds, power core at 17%. Emergency lockdown disengaged. Kesh'var stepped back, cautious. You've done this before? No, she admitted. But it speaks through neural impulses. The tech is semisentient. I think, it responds to intention. And your intention is? Survival, she said. Protection. The hologram flickered again. A sphere expanded, depicting a radar field. Within it, a blinking red dot moved toward their position. Amara's breath caught. Another pod. How many? Too many. Kesh'var turned. Then we don't fight them all. We vanish. We won't outrun them forever. He hesitated, then said quietly, there is another chamber. Lower. Forbidden. But it might save us. She didn't ask what forbidden meant. She simply followed. The descent was steep. Stone gave way to carved metal. They passed old skeletons, humanoid, alien, lined in ceremonial armor. The walls were etched with stories, a civilization lost to betrayal, war, extinction. This was your people's temple, Amara whispered. Kesh'var didn't answer. They reached the heart of the chamber, an orb suspended in an energy field. Around it, stone petals curved upward, like a blooming flower. What is it? She asked. He stepped closer. Life. Amara's fingers brushed the orb. Instantly, her body stiffened, images flashed behind her eyes. Oceans rising, stars blinking out, a woman holding an infant beneath a dying sun. The field released her. She stumbled back. Kesh'var caught her. I saw, she gasped, a child. His hands steadied her. This chamber speaks to bloodlines. Legacy. She looked up, stunned. You brought me here for this. No, he said softly. The chamber called you. Her breath hitched. A realization settled in her gut like gravity. She wasn't alone. Not anymore. She stepped back, trembling. Kesh'var. I think I'm. He already knew. She saw it in his eyes. A long silence passed. Then he reached out, placed his hand gently on her stomach. You carry what has never been, he said. Amara didn't speak. There were no words for this. Just a rising tide of emotion that threatened to break her open. Above them, the mercenaries descended. But below, something ancient stirred, something ready to protect. Above ground, crimson watch spread like oil across sand. Dropships thudded into the desert. Dust rose behind black-armored boots. Drones zipped overhead, scanning heat signatures, mapping every crevice. Below, in the ancient chamber, Amara leaned against a crystal pillar, her breath steadying. Kesh'var stood nearby, his silhouette cast tall in the blue glow. The silence between them was no longer awkward, it was loaded with certainty. I never thought it would be possible, she whispered. Different species. Different DNA. But I know what I felt. Kesh'var stepped closer, gaze soft. It is more than possible. It was meant. She pressed her hand to her stomach. I didn't plan this. Neither did I, he said. Yet it grows. She exhaled. We don't have time to process it. They're coming. Kesh'var nodded. Then we give them something they cannot process. They returned to the control chamber, where glyphs still pulsed faintly across crystal walls. Amara scanned the data map, watching red dots spread like disease toward their location. The temple has defenses, she said. We activate them, we might buy time. I will fight, Kesh'var offered. But not blindly. I don't need brute force. I need precision. Her fingers moved across the console. These systems are voice-reactive and psychically linked. We don't need weapons. We need intention. He stepped forward. Then I give you mine. Together, they placed their hands on the control pedestal. Light surged through the room. Glyphs responded instantly, racing across the chamber's edge. A hum rose, deep, old, like a mountain waking. On the surface, the ground shook. Mercenaries froze as energy pillars burst from the desert, launching arcs of heat across the sand. Drones shorted mid-air. Scanners exploded. Temple defense grid alive, one soldier yelled. Fall back. Coordinate assault vectors. But the terrain warped. The cave entrance vanished beneath a shifting dune. The Crimson Watch was blind. Inside, Amara swayed slightly, blood rushing behind her eyes. You pushed too far, Kesh'var said, steadying her. I'm fine, she lied. But this thing, it's reading more than commands. It's reading my thoughts. He placed a hand over hers. Then let it read this, our will to survive. They retreated to a sanctum deeper within the ruins. The air was cooler, almost sacred. Murals lined the walls, showing creatures of different species walking together, cradling young that were neither one nor the other. Amara stared at the images, heart thudding. These are hybrids, she murmured. Born from unity. My ancestors believed in merging, Kesh'var said. In making peace by blood. She ran a hand across her belly. Then this child, it's more than survival. It's prophecy. No, he said. It is choice. That made her pause. He continued, voice low. Prophesies are cages. But what we have, it's freedom. Amara looked at him fully, really looked. You're not just a weapon, she said. You're a beginning. Hours passed. Outside, Crimson Watch regrouped. Their tech adapted. They prepared to drill into the cave with plasma rigs. Inside, Amara and Kesh'var prepared too, differently. She gathered broken shards of armor, scraps of drones, pieces of ruined data cores. He forged spears tipped with ionized steel. The chamber became a war forge, not for death, but for resistance. At the center of it all was the orb. Still floating. Still humming. Amara approached it one last time. If I tap into its neural field again, I can trigger a deeper lockdown. Trap them. Protect what matters. Kesh'var stepped in front of her. You're weakened. I'll survive. And the child? She hesitated. It's a risk. Then I take it. No, her voice sharpened. This is my decision. Kesh'var watched her for a long moment, then nodded. She reached out, fingers brushing the orb. Everything went white. The orb's energy flooded her system. This time, it didn't show images, it felt. Pulses of warmth, fear, pain, memory. Her mind swam through histories that weren't hers. Empires lost. Babies born. Stars collapsing. And then, stillness. The orb responded. Glyphs across the temple blazed. Doors sealed. Passageways locked. A seismic hum quaked through the mountain. Outside, the Crimson Watch was buried alive. Their scanners died. Their ships sank into crumbling sand. Their screams echoed once, then were gone. Amara collapsed. Kesh'var caught her, cradling her carefully. Her lips were pale. Her breathing shallow. But her eyes fluttered open. You did it, he whispered. We did. Days passed. Then weeks. The ruins stabilized. The energy field calmed. The temple became more than a hideout, it became a home. They cultivated food from glowing roots. Melted mineral ice into drinking water. Amara built journals, mixing alien tech with human data. Kesh'var carved tools, trained with quiet dedication. Their lives unfolded in silence and harmony. And as Amara's belly grew, so did something else. Peace. Months later, Amara gave birth beneath the same light that once protected them. The child was small, silent at first, then let out a cry that echoed across the stone. Not human. Not alien. Something new. Something hopeful. Kesh'var held the child in trembling hands. She has your eyes, Amara whispered. And your stubbornness, he said. They both laughed raw, real. In the distance, the stars shifted. A friendly ship arrived, drawn by the beacon Amara had activated in secret weeks earlier. Peacekeepers, not corporations. The war was over. The child slept. The future waited. Amara stood on the ridge above their cave, wind in her hair. Kesh'var came up behind her, wrapping one arm around her waist, the other holding their daughter close. She leaned into him. You ever think we'd end up like this? She asked. Never. And now? He looked at her. At peace. She smiled, eyes misting. We were supposed to be enemies. We were, he agreed. But we chose something better. They watched the stars rise, one by one. Together. Final line. What began in blood and wreckage ended in life. Not by fate. Not by prophecy. But by the choice to love across the impossible.